Here's a picture of my chart plotter. From the top to the bottom it goes from 0 to 10 minutes. On the right side we can see the true wind speed. Average is 14.5 knots and the wind varies between about 10 knots gusting to 20 knots. On the left graph we can see the true wind direction. Average, the wind is coming from 133 degrees. Variation roughly between 120 and 150 degrees. Now I want to connect a scale to the chain and the anchor and see how much pulling force it is in those wind conditions. I was watching the scale for about 5 to 10 minutes, and in that time period the load varied between 4 kilos and 150 kilos, or if you like it in pounds, less than 10 pounds to a bit above 300 pounds in the wind conditions you saw earlier in the video. Here I have tested and measured some parameters over a 10 minutes period. Upper left corner is the depth, it's about 4 meters. The true wind speed is a little bit above 10 knots. And if you look at the left bottom corner, after about 5 minutes I have put up the anchor sail. And you can see the variation in direction is less. In the same in the bottom right corner, true wind angle. For the first 5 minutes, the variation is above 30 degrees. Then I put the anchor sail up, and the variation becomes around roughly 20 degrees. Here I have tested out the conditions over a time period of 30 minutes. As you can see in the upper right corner, the true wind speed is a little bit above 10 knots, gusting close to 20 knots. For the first 10 minutes I had the anchor sail flying, and then I took it down. So if you look at the bottom right corner, you can see there are smaller variations in true wind angle the first 10 minutes, then from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. Same goes for the course. Så vindpila relativt stabil. The wind speed is average 9.6 knots, going from about 7 knots to 12 knots. So it's quite light wind conditions. On the left side we can see the true wind direction is changing between 150 and 200 degrees. We are here in the bay, about 9 meters deep, and it's blowing roughly 10 knots. Time scale is 10 minutes, and we have the anchor sail up all the time. Another lovely evening in Denmark in the beginning of August. 25 degrees in the water. I tested the anchor sail in the evening and in the next morning. Here I've taken the sails down and I'm checking the pulling force in the anchor by using various engine power. The boat is on a bay about 4 meters deep. I have 40 meters of chain out, 13 millimeters, so I have close to 150 kilos of chain weight. For the first 1200 RPM, I'm mostly using the power to lift the chain off the floor. After that, you can see for every 200 RPM, I'm lifting or pulling another 50 kilos. You might recall from earlier in the video that when it was blowing 15 knots gusting to 20, I was pulling about 150 kilos at the maximum, which I'm doing here at about 1500 RPM. Next summer I will do some more pulling tests with and without the anchor sail to see if there's a difference in the pulling force, and I'll also see if I can anchor in more wind conditions and see what the pulling force is like then. Hope this small video has been somewhat helpful and give you some tips how to check out your own boat.